Okay, so it's Thursday and I'm in my room, so I guess it's time for a room talk video. Not a whole lot to say this week. It's more just like a couple quick points here and there. Number one, I finished my replay of Tales of Symphonia. I don't know when I'm gonna do a video on it because I have to actually write my notes down, and I feel like that's gonna be kind of a lengthy process because it's a game that means a lot to me, and it's a game that like I'll go ahead and give like my basic opinion on it. I think it holds up after 20 years. You know, I still like the look of the game. I think the soundtrack is phenomenal. I think combat wise, the game is really fun. Puzzle design wise, it varies. There are some parts where I'm like, this is a really fun puzzle. Like, this is kind of a cool puzzle. I like this. And there's other points where I'm like, wow, this is fucking obnoxious. I can't stand this. Some of it is like I'm just kind of having trouble figuring out what I'm supposed to do. Others are I know what I'm supposed to do, but with the way it's designed, there's a lot of trial and error, or it's just annoying. It's kind of shit to kind of pad the game out. And like I could give some examples. Letheon Gorge, the way the Temple of Earth is handled, it's shit that's just it feels like it's designed to waste your time rather than here's a really cool idea. And I don't love that. The story I think is fantastic. The characters I think are fantastic. That's so without going too far into specifics, that's what I think of the game, and I absolutely fucking adore it. Now that that's done, my next two projects are Reading Fate, which I have started. I am officially starting the visual novel. I read the prologue part with Ren and Archer, so we're now at the start of the Fate route. Shiro has not summoned Saber yet. So very, very early. One thing I already have noticed that I'm really liking in the VN is the description of how it feels to use magic. Because I've watched a lot of Fate adaptations. I've watched the Dean adaptation of the Fate route. I've watched the UFO table adaptations of Fate Zero, UBW, and I don't think I watched the last Heaven's Feel movie, but I saw the first two. And then, I've played Fate Go. I've watched a good chunk of Apocrypha. I watched the Babylon adaptation. Trying to think if there's others that I've watched. I watched a couple episodes of Extra, I think that's what it's called, the one with Nero, and I was like, wow, I fucking hate this. I'm not gonna watch this shit no more. But needless to say, it's like I have a pretty good understanding of Fate and like how a lot of the shit works. I don't remember in any of the adaptations them describing how much it hurts to use magic. It can fatigue you, if you overuse your magic. You might start to feel a bit exhausted, it's like you'll have to kind of recoup your mana and shit. But as Rin is doing her summoning, she's just describing the sensation in her body, and like, this sounds genuinely awful. And the point I'm at right now is Shiro is doing his training with like his structural magic, his reinforcement magic, and he's describing what he has to do to even set up his magic circuit and how it feels. And he's like, oh yeah, if I like lose concentration during this, I will die. This is absolutely insane, and I don't remember this ever being addressed in any adaptation I've seen. If it is, I don't remember clearly, or it was something that was kind of like barely brought up and not really focused on. But this is really interesting. And I remember hearing someone talk about it years ago, and they're like, that is my favorite part of the VN, and it's something that has never really been adapted, is just the intense sensation that goes on when you use magic, and how it makes Shiro come across as far more insane. Like, there is something fundamentally wrong with this person, that it goes beyond, I'm going to help people because it's a good thing to do, or because I have my Survivors Guild and whatnot. And it's, no, this is what he does to himself every time he does it. This guy is off his rocker, and that's what makes him so interesting. And I'm already kind of starting to see that, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. The other project is I am playing Fire Emblem Engage, My goal is to do... Excuse me. So I want to finish the main story and do all the emblem paralogs, which includes, that's a spoiler, but it is to say all the paralogs and all the story chapters. I finished chapter 15, which is the Cedal and Corin chapter, and I've done the paralogs for Anna, Jean, and Lucina. My goal is that's what I'm trying to do. So I don't really care about the skirmishes. I do want to do all the paralogs. I want to do a map a day. If I can do 2 a day, that's awesome. But I want to at least get 1 done a day. I don't think I will be finishing by the end of the month if I do that. But I think I would get really close. So hopefully by the end of March or early to mid-April, I can get Engaged done. I'm also playing on Maddening. Maddening was a fucking mistake. Now, I can switch off of it at pretty much any time. However, the game has made it clear, because at one point I was like, how do I change it if I want to? Okay, you have to do it here, and the game tells you. The difficulty changing only goes one way. If you change it down to hard, cool, you are locked on hard and below. You cannot go back. I'm like, that's kind of fair. You can't say, yeah, I beat the game on Maddening, and there were a couple maps where I had to put it back down to hard, but then I went back to it, no, it goes one way. So if you get to the end on this difficulty, you got to the end on that difficulty. There's essentially 2 vibes in maps. Vibe number 1 is, this is incredibly fun. I'm using so many different characters, I'm using so many different mechanics, I feel like the entire squad is contributing, and we are hauling ass. Chapter 10 is a great example of that. Chapter 14 is another great example of that, where I'm having so much fun figuring out what is the best way to do this, what is the shit that I can exploit. And that's kind of part of it too. It's what are my unit strengths and weaknesses, but also what are some of the game mechanics that I could really exploit? Like Lucina's chain guarding, or how if enemies are able to attack Lynn's clones, they almost kind of have to, because they are looked at as the weakest thing they can hurt. And how to use that, to get out of stickier situations. That's so fun to me. It's amazing. The other vibe of a map is, this is ass and I'm in trouble. Chapter 11, if you played the game, you know what I'm talking about, is the big example of that. And Chapter 15, I fucking hated. The one I just did. The reason I hated it, I can really give 3 reasons why. So I guess the reasons I hated it. Number 1, they finally give you a dancer, but because he starts off with the Corin ring, and you kind of need the Corin ring to get through the miasma so the enemies actually become killable, for a lot of the map, your dancer isn't able to be used as a dancer. He kind of has to be used for, I don't want to say plot reasons, but essentially that. It's alright, here's the gimmick of the map. He now has to, yes, not plot reasons, he has to be a gimmick rather than doing what his role as a dancer is. I don't like that. Number 2, once you get to a certain point, reinforcements start coming up. Which is not awful, that kind of shit happens in Fire Emblem. But these things are absolute monsters. I don't know what they're like in hard. I watched Clay play the game on hard, so I don't remember how dangerous these guys are, but they're stupid in Maddening. I had Panette fight one of them, she's got Ike, I had her Great Ether. I was okay, she should, really do a lot of damage to it with a Great Ether. Oh, she did, 13, and this thing was 63 health. Insane, 30-something defense, I think, 20-something resistance. These are unkillable. Now, granted, they start quite a ways away from you. So it is alright, it's... You still have time, but you have to start being more aggressive. But I just don't like that. I kind of like to prefer to let me play the map the way I want to play the map. The other big thing I don't like about the map is just how cramped it is. There's a lot of parts where there's just these really thin hallways. So, like I said, in Chapter 10 and Chapter 14, what made them so fun is I can really utilize my squad and figure, again, how to maximize everybody, both in terms of how I can exploit enemy AI, how I can maximize my unit strengths and weaknesses. I can put this person here, this person here, this person here, and if I put you here, this person is protected, that person needs to be protected. And then on the next turn, they could do this shit. I could put you here, and then if that happens, it opens up A, B, and C. But when it's just super cramped, I can't do that, and so I felt like a lot of my turns, I was like, a lot of my units are barely moving, and sometimes not at all. This is ass. This is not fun. So I'm really fucking glad to be done with that map. I know next is 16, which is the Gold Maria Rosado map. I don't know how bad that's going to be on Maddening. I hope it's nothing crazy. Then we get Chapter 17. This is the chapter where you have to fight 6 bosses, each with an emblem ring, each with multiple health bars. I remember watching Clay do this, I was like, this looks fun, and this looks hard. And kind of playing through it with him. Like, it's not like, alright, we were like a tag team. It was like, this is his playthrough. And I'm kind of watching it every now and then being like, well, okay, like, is this something that would work? Is this something that would work? Which he does with me as well, which I do enjoy. But it's like, it was something that's like, this looks really fun, this also looks crazy. This is the map I'm most looking forward to playing on Maddening. Honestly, if I could get through this one, I don't really care about the rest of the game. And I don't need to be like, yeah, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to drop it. But I feel like, yeah, like looking at some of the other maps, like I think it's Chapter 24 is the one where you have to do it in a certain amount of time, and there's like ice wind that'll push you back. Like, the map doesn't look fun. It just looks like, it kind of looks like a Tales of Symphonia thing where it's like, this is less of a really cool idea, and maybe playing it I'll think so. But just looking at it, I was like, this looks really annoying and obnoxious. Why? Or the map right after that, Chapter 25, the penultimate map, with a very spoilery boss, where like, they have infinite reinforcements. I don't know if it's the entire map or once you get to a certain point, like, oh, the reinforcements never stop spawning. This looks like ass. Oh, you don't get XP from killing these infinite reinforcemements? So, I mean, you still have to kill them so you can not get killed by them, but like, what the fuck? I remember there was so much shit on the screen when Clay played it, like the game was actively lagging. That does not look fun. 17 looks like this is fun, but it is going to challenge you. Give it everything you've got, because the game is going to respond in kind. This just looks like this is some dumb bullshit. I might not play that on Maddening. Like, if I can get through 17, like, yeah, like, my mindset is, I don't want to lower the difficulty unless I feel like I genuinely just can't do this. But some of those later maps, because even like the final dungeon, or like the final map, does not look that bad. It looks very, very doable. But the two right before it just don't look fun. But we'll see when I get there. Maybe I'll do and be like, no, actually, these are fucking great. They're fantastic. But I don't know. And like I said, like, I'm excited for 17, but I'm dreading it. I lost 5 people in Chapter 11. I did it multiple times trying to get through it, but Alir kept dying because she's not a good unit. She is not strong. She is not tanky. If something looks at her, she will explode. And so I kept trying to put her in like a void tile so things could not hit her. And even with low hit rates, they would still hit her anyways, and she would still explode. So on the map, on the run where I managed to finally get through, I lost Celine, Citrine, Lapis, Diamant, and Chloe. And it was really fucking rough, especially Celine and Chloe, because they'd been here for a while, and they were really big contributors. That one hurt. Those are not the only units I lost. I lost Alfred a few maps ahead of that. It was that, like, fog map where you first get Micaiah and Yunaka. Which at that point, I was like, I'm just not gonna redo this map at this point. If I lose someone, Alfred, if I lose you, I lose you. You're not that big of a contributor, and if you die, you're still in the plot. I just don't like fog maps. Fuck this shit. I want to be done. But that's where we are right now. It's rough. What does that even say? Oh, I know what that says. So the other things to talk about, Survivor is back on. I forgot to mention it last week, and I just kind of put it in the description, like, holy shit, I forgot to talk about Survivor. I'm just excited to have it back. I really, really like the birdcage idol thing. The fact that here's this thing in kind of the middle of your camp area where everyone can see. It's locked, so instead of you run around, you find the idol in the forest, you run around, you find the key. Then you unlock it, you get the thing. Cool, you now have an idol. But to get it, you have to go do this. And it's not in the middle of the campsite, so you can still sneak away, but someone can still catch you doing it. And if you do get the thing, well, do you just keep all the shit in the bag with you? Because then someone knows it's been tampered with, someone has the idol, or whatever is in the bag. It is confirmed it's an idol and a fake idol, but they don't know that until it's open. Or do you do what the people in this episode did, where it's like, all right, I'm going to open it, I'm going to take the shit, and then I'm just going to put the bag back and lock it so no one knows it's been touched, which is the really smart move, and one person was able to do it and completely not get caught. The other person did it. She wasn't caught in the act, but when people looked at it later, they're like, wait a second, this looks like it's been tampered with. Oh, someone has an idol. The idol is in play. Who's got it? And then it just came to like this, became just this super suspicious. Everyone is accusing someone else. It's like a game of Mafia, or that episode of the Twilight Zone, like the monsters are due on Maple Street. It's like, you're a monster, you're a monster, you're a monster. It's like, you have it, you have it, you have it. I really enjoy that kind of element of Survivor, so I had a good time with this episode. A new chapter of Chainsaw Man came out. It was the one that got leaked, but now I actually got the translation. Essentially, it's Famine seems like she's making her move, and she's in league with someone else. I didn't super catch it. It looks like we are starting to move. I don't necessarily want to say to a climax, because I'm not actually sure how long part 2 has been going on. But it seems like we're moving toward like the next big story beat, which I am looking forward to. Again, I enjoy the manga. So yesterday morning, because like Chainsaw Man, it's it's an action, it's a comedy, it's also a bit of a horror story. So now we're going to transfer or segue into horror. I don't know why. Oh no, this is what happened. I was watching a Meat Canyon video. Shout out to Meat Canyon, I love his channel. This was specifically Papa Meat, so it's more like his kind of, not his animation, but just, hi, I'm the guy that makes Meat Canyon, let me talk to you about shit. And he was talking about a horror movie. I think it was called Skinamarink, which I haven't seen. I don't know if I will. I was reading through the comments, and I kept seeing comments about this one thing called unedited footage of a bear. It was like, yeah, like I saw that and like it fucked me up. Like I'm kind of not okay having seen that, but it's something very similar. Like, oh, okay, what is this? So I watched it. I won't really go into any details. It's 10 minutes. It's like a 10-minute short film. I would recommend it. I enjoyed it a lot. You can find it on YouTube, no problem. I would just recommend it. Give it a watch. If you don't enjoy it, I'm sorry I put you through that. If you did enjoy it, I'm glad I gave you a good recommendation. And then after that, I watched another video, I think made by the same people, called This House Has People in It, which I didn't enjoy nearly as much, but I thought it was still quite good. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I don't feel like I really have a lot to say, and then tomorrow is Friday, so that'll be Northern War, that'll be Pokemon, there'll be a new kill count, which I think it's, I gotta give my shout out to Dead Meat, I love them. James, Chelsea, Zoran, I'm not sure the other members of the team, I'm sorry, but I really like the channel, I'm looking forward to it. And Scream 6 comes out. I believe it technically comes out tonight. Tomorrow's the official release date. Me and one of my friends, we're going to go try to watch it tomorrow night. I'm really looking forward to it. So hopefully Saturday morning. So Friday morning, I'm expecting to be like, hey, here's my thing on Pokemon, which is the Team Rocket episode I'm really looking forward to. And whatever's going on in Northern War. And then Saturday morning, hopefully I'll be able to do like okay, so last night I watched Scream 6. It was great. And, I'll go and say it now. I'll say it in Scream 6 video as well. I will be fully spoiling it. And I'll try to be like, all right, guys, like, I saw it. It was great. Here's my non-spoilery thoughts. Here's my spoilery thoughts. They brought back Stu Macher as Ghostface. I'm so excited. I am bullshitting here. I don't know if that's a thing that actually happens. If so, I am so sorry for accidentally spoiling it. I would kind of be shocked because, as far as I am aware, he is 100% dead in canon, but he was gonna be in Scream 3. And I think they considered bringing him in like the TV show, so it's kind of a question mark. And I know Matthew Lillard has still been in the Scream movies, like he's done really small kind of voice work. I think some of the other people, like Jamie Kennedy, has done the same thing too, so it could happen. So if I spoiled it, I'm sorry. But I'm really looking forward to it. That's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow.